So I just got pissed, yet I am moving forward because with or without humanity, I still have shit to do. And I am not stopped by anything that's going on here. This is not my responsibility to save my own head right now. This is your responsibility to save your own head. You're fucking suicidal. You will die. Your species is dying. Your systems, your solar system, your star system is about to die. That's all right. I understood that you don't want to be saved. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I made my peace with it. And now I just need to continue to move forward no matter what. And this is it. So, the Pharaonic state, a comprehensive analysis of governance, theology, and society in ancient Egypt. Introduction: the cosmic mandate of the two lands. The civilization of ancient Egypt, enduring for over 3 millennia, represent one of the most sophisticated political and social systems in human history. To comprehend the pharaonic state is to engage with a worldview where the political and the theological were not merely intertwined but indistinguishable. The state did not exist solely to manage resources or defend borders. It existed to maintain Ma'at, the cosmic order of truth, justice, and balance, against encroaching force of Isfet or chaos. This essential struggle defined every aspect of Egyptian life, from the daily rituals of the king to the labor of the peasant in the field. The pharaonic system was a unique synthesis of absolute divine monarchy and complex bureaucracy. As its apex stood the pharaoh, a figure who was ontologically distinct from his subject, God on earth, the good God, Netyer Nefer, whose physical well being was inextricably linked to the cycles of the Nile and the stability of the universe. Beneath him lay a rigid yet permeable social hierarchy, a vast administrative machine, and a legal system grounded in the pursuit of harmony. This report provides an exhaustive examination of the pharaonic system. It traces the origins of the state from the proto-kingdoms of the pre-dynastic period to the heights of imperial power. It dissects the mechanics of succession, the nuanced role of the royal court, and the administration of justice. Furthermore, it explores the societal structures that supported this edifice, including the controversial and often misunderstood institutions of slavery and corvée labor, providing a holistic view of how the two lands functioned as a cohesive and enduring superpower. What I heard is that slaves were paid, but I'm not sure. I need to read about that. And perhaps they were paid and it's been erased from the books. Because in some society, the people from abroad, they are considered as slaves because they are not from the land. But the terminology of slaves is not the one that we go about right now. Those people are slaves only because they are serving. They are serving because they are serving the society. They are serving the society in which they come, in which they arrive. And so they don't have privilege that the society has. Yet their state of slavery is not one of deprivation of absolutely everything. It's not one of torture. It's only one of lesser rights, one of non privileges, which is different from the state of slavery in which people are thinking right now. The state of slavery in which people are thinking right now. Part 1: The Genesis of Kingship and the Pre-Dynastic Origins, the Rise of the Proto-Kingdoms. The pharaonic state did not emerge fully formed with the first dynasty. It was the culmination of millennium of cultural and political evolution known as the pre-dynastic period, circa 5000 to 5000, 3100 BCE, before Christ. I don't know what it is. The roots of Egyptian kingship lie in the gradual stratification of the Nakada culture in Upper Egypt. By the Nakada 2 and 3 periods, circa 3500 3200 BCE, the egalitarian Neolithic villages had coalesced into powerful chiefdoms and proto-kingdoms centered around three major distinct urban hubs: Hierakonpolis, Neken, Nakada, Numt, and Abydos. Abydos. This. Archaeological evidence from Hierakonpolis suggests that the ideological framework of pharaonic rule was established long before political unification. The painted tomb 100, dating to the Nakada 2C period, IIC period, contains the earliest known depiction of a ruler figure smithing enemies with a mace, a motif that would remain the key quintessential image of royal power for 3,000 years. Smithing enemies with a mace, a hammer, a mace. A mace is a hammer, or what is it? I am forced into some reaction, of course. The smile and so on, and the thoughts that were linked to this word. This visual language asserted the ruler's role as the guarantor of order through the violent suppression of chaos. The visual language asserted the ruler's role as the guarantor of order through the violent suppression of chaos. These proto-kingdoms were not secular states but sacred polities. Hierakonpolis was the cult centered of Horus, the falcon god of the sky and kingship. Nakada was the domain of Seth, the god of strength and chaos, and Abydos served as the necropolis for the emerging elite. The interaction between these centers, oscillating between trade, alliances, and warfare, created an Upper Egyptian Commonwealth that shared a homogeneous material culture and ideology, setting the stage for expansion. Horus, the falcon god of the sky and kinship. Seth, its strength and chaos. Abydos, the necropolis. Okay. Dynasty Zero, the Scorpion King. The immediate precursor to the dynastic age is the period scholars term Dynasty Zero, circa 3200 BCE. This era witnessed the emergence of named kings who exercised authority over substantial territories in Upper Egypt and extended their influence into the Nile Delta and southern Canaan. Rulers such as Ari-Hor, Ka, and the enigmatic Scorpio II, Salk, appear in archaeological record, their name inscribed in Serex, the palace facade standard that predated the cartouche. Ari-Hor, Ka, and Scorpio II. My dad is Scorpio. King Scorpion depicted a ceremonial mace head found at the Hierakonpolis is shown participating in an agricultural, of course. So King Scorpion depicted on a ceremonial mace head found at Hierakonpolis is shown participating in an agricultural ritual, opening a dike, wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt. This imagery links the earliest kingship directly to the control of the Nile and agricultural fertility, a core duty of the later pharaohs. These Dynasty Zero rulers began the process of administrative centralization, taxation, and state-sponsored trade that would characterize the pharaonic system. This imagery links the earliest kingship directly to the control of the Nile and agricultural fertility, a core duty of the later pharaohs. These Dynasty Zero rulers began the process of administrative centralization, taxation, and state-sponsored trade that would characterize the pharaonic system. I'm thinking right now that just a little interlude, because I figured out that I have been making a research on the presidential figures with the most disastrous reputation. And you have Nixon, who resigned. You have Clinton, impeached. I thought that Bush was one of them, but apparently Bush is not cited here. He had a bad reputation, but it was not that bad, apparently. He was highly criticized only, perhaps. And Herbert Hoover, was a symbol of failure. He created, it was during the Great Depression. And I think that the Great Depression was linked to strong inflation. And Didi Curry Trump keeps talking about inflation, an inflation that is not going down. People are losing their jobs. People don't have enough money to sustain their living. And so in turn, these create a climate where people are pushed to the streets much more than usual. And at the same time, he pushes me. He's done everything so that I would be in the streets as well. And Hoover was a symbol, a presidential symbol of failure. So there we have a pattern. There was homeless encampments, sarcastically named Hooversvilles, so you can say that there are some Trumpsvilles. Newspapers were used as blankets, and I have seen the clear space, the intelligence world using quite a bit of newspapers these days to communicate shit. I don't know what exactly, but there is this. So, and it was renamed Hoover blankets, and I have blankets now. You know, a thing I didn't have in Barcelona. And so then he faced Franklin Delano Roosevelt for his re-election in 1932, and Franklin Roosevelt started his mandate in 1933. Roosevelt Revel. A revel came after a symbol of failure, pushing inflation up, homelessness, and a revel came at the beginning of before a world war, and now what I am enticing is another world war. It's the Third World War. And at the same time, Hoover was booed. Booed. And today I've seen that Trump was booed as well. So, the Trump. So if you don't see the parallel, then I cannot do anything for you. It's like this is, but then I don't know why it's going that far while everything could be avoided. I don't know why the clash has to go that far. So let's go back to the Egyptian thing. Unification, the Nemer horizon. The transition to the first dynasty is marked by unification of Upper and Lower Egypt, like Upper and Lower Normandy, and even crystallized in the persona of King Namer, circa 3150 BCE. While later Manethonian history attributes the founding of the state to a king named Mendes. Modern scholarship generally identifies Narmer as the historical figure who completed the conquest of the Delta. The Narmer palette serves as the primary document of this transition. It presents a dualistic ideology that would define the Egyptian state. The king as the unifier of opposites. On the rector, Narmer wears the red cross of Lower Egypt and inspects the decapitated bodies of his northern enemies. On the verso, he wears the white crown of Upper Egypt and smits a captive. This duality was not merely symbolic but structural. Egypt was conceptually and administratively, administratively the two land, Tawi, held together solely by the person of the king. The establishment of the capital at Memphis was the capital of the. Okay. And I have to go through this while they push me into rejecting the thing today, betraying my own words. The establishment of the capital at Memphis in a H, the White Wall, at the apex of the delta, was a strategic move to control both the Nile Valley and the Mediterranean trade routes, solidifying the new dual monarchy. So there was something about the Red Cross. About the Red Cross. And this is as well my legacy, the Red Cross. The Red Cross is as well one symbol of, I think, Lysium, or the cross. I don't know. The Red Cross is part of my legacy. I have a picture of it somewhere. I made a link. I don't know if you can see me well. So it's like nothing is controlled at all, right? The theology and mechanics of divine kingship, the ontology of the pharaoh. The pharaoh was the axis upon which Egyptian world turned. Before dying, my grandma had done a trip in Egypt, and she brought me back a golden medal and a frame with my name written on it in Egyptian. This was the sign. We are a descendant from pharaohs as well, from what I can understand. The pharaoh was the axis upon which the Egyptian world turned. He was not merely a divinely appointed representative, he was a liminal being straddling the human and the divine spheres. Straddling. So that would be me, basically. And this is what I see. Like I see an alien here, but not always present. While he possessed a mortal body, his office and his spirit, Ka, were divine. He was the Horus, the living incarnation of the falcon god, and the son of Ra, the physical offspring of the creator sun god. So Raphael, Ra. The divinity was the source of his absolute authority. In the Egyptian worldview, the gods had withdrawn from the earth to the heavens, leaving the pharaoh as their sole representative and high priest. Confirmation that this would be me. All temple rituals performed by priests across Egypt were theoretically enacted by the king. The priest served merely as his delegates. His primary existential function was to maintain Ma'at by upholding justice, performing rituals, and defending the borders. The king offered Ma'at to the gods, ensuring they would continue to sustain the cosmos. All right. The royal titulary, a manifesto of power. By the Middle Kingdom, the identity of the pharaoh was encapsulated in a fivefold titulary. This was not a mere collection of names, but a theological manifesto that defined the nature of the king's reign and his relationship to the divine. The fivefold royal titulary. There is the Horus name, the Nepti name, the Golden Horus, the prenomen, sorry, and the nomen. So the title name is Horus name, transliteration is Hor. Hor. Symbolism and theological function. The oldest title enclosed in a Serek, Pele's Facade. It identifies the king as the earthly manifestation of the falcon god Horus. It often expresses the aggressive, protective aspect of kingship, the mighty bull. So, her, there is a podcast called Her, and they took upon what I wanted to do, I guess, and call it upon my origins. Her. So I am from Egypt. Oh yeah, I have been told that I look like an Egyptian. All right, Nepti name, Nepti. The two ladies places the king under protection of Nekbet, vulture goddess of Upper Egypt, and Wajet, cobra goddess of Lower Egypt, symbolizing the unification of the dual monarchy. So what happened is that I created this document a couple days ago, and I then wanted to go back to it, but I didn't. And now, since a couple of days, you have Didi Curie Trump saying statement in front of a eagle thing, golden eagle stand. I didn't notice that before, but now he's in front of that. He's placed in front of that. And now I come to read this. Golden Horus Hornebu. Horus of gold symbolizes the King eternal, imperishable nature. Gold being the flesh of the gods and his triumph over symbolism and theological function. And now that I have been saying this, the attacks are a bit like shit, like the counter conspiracy is real. Horus of gold symbolizes the king, eternal, imperishable nature, gold being of the flesh of the gods, and his triumph over enemies, Horus over Seth. The golden Horus. I have seen Horus and or Ra when the harassment started, and Jesus as well. Some impressions. I don't know if it was the intelligent space. I don't know if it was aliens. I don't know if it was both at the same time. I just know that I saw these fucking things. Prenomen. So this is information. I don't know the source, and I would like to be able to discern a bit better what's coming from where. But for now, I just need to live with what's in front of me and just live through the experience that is imposed on me, basically, because this is how it is, and this is it. I am brilliant. I am whatever you want. They keep telling me that I am super special. I am super exceptional. But for the time being, I just don't know how exceptional and how brilliant I am. I just see that this is all fucking dysfunctional, that it could be all fucking better. And while I am fucking exceptional, strangely, they do not respect my word. They do not abide my words to get me what I need, what I want in the most basic way, but strangely, they are plenty people like the president of the US abiding by my words magically. Well, I am controlled, but they are not controlled. They are in control of me, but I am controlling them. So it means that if I am controlling them, it means that the people controlling me is controlling them. But then who's controlling them? It's not them being controlled by us. It's them being controlled by them. And so then who's controlling who? But you know, it's all about control. Prenomen. Nezubiti. He of the sage and the bee, king of Upper and Lower Egypt, the throne name enclosed in a cartouche. It usually references the sun god Ra and is the name used in administration and diplomatic correspondence. Nezu Biti. Nomen Sara, son of Ra. The birth name also in a cartouche. It emphasizes the king's filial relationship to the Creator God and his human lineage. I had two Sarahs in my surroundings. 3. Ritual obligation, the daily liturgy, and the said festival. The king's life was a cycle of ritual performance. Every morning, in every temple, the morning ritual was performed. The king, or his priestly proxy, would break the clay seal of the shrine, awaken the god, purify the statue with water and incense, and clothe it in linen. This was not worship in the sense of a prayer, but a service kept to sustain the god's energy so the god could in turn sustain Egypt. The most significant ritual of kingship was the Sed festival, Heb Sed, traditionally celebrated in the 30th year of a reign and periodically thereafter. This was a ritual of rejuvenation, as the king's physical vigor was believed to correlate with the fertility of the land. An aging king presented a theological risk. The Heb said involved the king running a ritual course to prove his physical fitness and participating in ceremonies where he was symbolically reborn and recrowned. Reliefs from the tomb of Kerief, TT 192, depict Amenhotep III, third Jubilee, showing the king towing the solar boat and raising the jet pillar, reinforcing the stability of the cosmos. So by kingship rules, it's better if the entire earth has me as a vital essence than of kingship than any other aging kingship. So place part three. Succession, legitimacy, and dynastic change. The rules of succession. Succession in ancient Egypt was ideally patrilineal, passing from father to eldest son. Weird if they are correlating. Yeah, whatever. The designated heir was typically the son of the great royal wife, Hemet Nezu Weret, the king's chief consort. This lineage provided a double legitimacy, combining the divine essence of the pharaoh with the royal blood of the mother. The lineage provided the double legitimacy, combining the divine essence of the pharaoh with the royal blood of the mother. The queen was not just a breeding vessel, but a ritual partner, often viewed as the earthly embodiment of the goddess Hathor or Mut. However, the system was pragmatic. If the great royal wife bore no sons, the heir could be chosen from the sons of secondary wives, Iset. In such cases, the heir's legitimacy might be bolstered by marriage to a royal half sister or through divine oracles. What? In such cases, the heir's legitimacy might be bolstered by marriage to a royal half sister or half sister. You're my sister from another mother or another dad. Or through divine oracles. Hmm. Okay, this part is a bit obscure. I don't really understand. The statue of the king's mother, Mutnezu, was pivotal upon her son's accession. She became a powerful figure in the court, bridging the transition between reigns. So the mother has to die, right? The institution of co-regency. So perhaps I need to visit Normandy to give it a knife cut. To ensure stability and prevent succession crises, pharaohs, particularly in the Middle and New Kingdoms, utilized co-regency. This practice involved crowning the heir as king while the father was still alive. The two ruled together. The senior king retained supreme authority while the junior king gained experience in administration and military leadership. Mhm. The co-regency between Amenemhat and Senusret first 12th dynasty serves as the classic example following an assassination attempt on Amenemhat first referenced in the instructions of Amenemhat. The co-regency allowed Senusret to assume control instantly upon his father's eventual murder, preventing civil war. This mechanism, essentially training the gods, ensured the continuity of Maat during the most vulnerable moment of the state, the death of the monarch. Usurpation and manufactured legitimacy. Despite the ideal orderly succession, Egyptian history is punctuated by usurpations and dynastic changes. When the bloodline failed, the system had to adapt. The transition from the 18th to the 19th dynasty illustrates the mechanisms used to legitimize a new line. Following the Amarna period and the hairless death of Tutankhamun, the throne passed to the elderly official Ai and then to the general Horemheb. Horemheb, having no sons, appointed his vizier and military companion Paramesu as his heir. Paramesu, who became Ramesses I, was a non-royal general from the Delta. To legitimize his new dynasty, the Ramessides, the statue, the state machine emphasized his military prowess and his devotion to the traditional gods, particularly Seth of Avaris. Perhaps this is where we come from. Shit, I don't like that. His son Seti I and grandson Ramses II solidified this, commissioning king lists such as the Abydos king list that omitted the heretic rulers of Amama period, drawing a direct line of legitimacy from the glorious 18th dynasty ancestor to themselves. Another tool of legitimation was theogamy and divine birth. Rulers with tenuous claims, such as the female king Hatshepsut, what? Hatshepsut, Hatshepsut, commissioned reliefs depicting the god Amun taking the form of their earthly father to impregnate their mother. The theological, the theological device asserted that the king was biologically the child of the god, rendering their earthly parentage irrelevant. So I think that we come from there. We come from because it's particularly Seth of Avaris and Harvard Avaris. Ava. Tutankhamun. Perhaps he had an offspring, but it was hidden or overturned, forgotten. And then other people took over, military people. That was a coup. Mhm. So there, right there, we came from a kingship oriented solely around Horus to a kingship which was oriented around Seth, it looks like. The 18th dynasty to the 19th. And that was the transition was ensured by the system, the administrative system. Part 4, the royal court and household structure. The palace, The term Pharaoh derives from Pera, literally great house, the great millennia, the great house, referring to the palace complex that served as the administrative and ritual heart of the nation. The palace was a self-contained city comprising audience halls, residential quarters, chancelleries, canti, libraries, workshops, and granaries. So in the back, while I'm reading this, they wire myself back into Justin, just so that you know, which I do not appreciate. And then there is always this compliant motion every time I'm like angry and be like, yeah, sorry, I know, oh. And then it starts over again. The same pattern, the same delirium, the same fuck ups. But now it looks like it's moving forward, yet it's still. I'm a bit lost right now. It's like it was not real, right? I'm thinking about this, the fact that I don't have a boyfriend anymore. I don't have a boyfriend anymore, but I do have still a partner. And by partner, I mean a royal counterpart. It's like we aren't boyfriends, we aren't lovers, just it's a tool of power and of manipulations and but I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in having my partnership used to do anything but being my partnership. There are some stuff that can serve positively without damaging the relationship or using it or twisting it out of its context. So, excavation at Tel El Ama, and they keep moving slightly my body, like was something around my anus, was some contraction on my body as well. Sometimes my reading is slowed down. I itch a little, here it's a bit itchy as well. So it's because of the tech. I have been warning. My pattern is that when I say something, it ends, it happens. It's always that way, always that way. When I say something, it happens. There's no turnaround this, it just happens. I manage in one way or another to make it happen. And now, somehow, it's just taken as something that would be optional, while it's not the case. It's like I'm too healthy in my mind to comprehend this state of mind that is completely unhealthy. I can't. I'm too grounded. I'm too logical, pragmatic, healthy, and you see that I go far in other directions, right? I'm not all super grounded and super in it, but then it's like since the start, I knew what was going on since the start. So fucking occult. Well, I don't understand how those people can climb up on the basis of being so fucking lame and so fucking stupid. It's like you're being killed if you're so fucking stupid. You cannot sustain your power in any way or form. How do you do that? It's like, is it that you're all horrific killers? Or is it something else? Because being a horrific killer is that if you're smart, you can just kill whoever the fuck you want, right? And so the hierarchy can be killed as well. So I don't know. It's just it took me less than a year to expose absolutely everything, and more is coming, and it keep pushing, and so those people are fucking failures. It's like they have been failing their system as no one before them have been failing the system. No one than them had been failing that fucking hard. No one. Millennium of legacy. Then, in 3 fucking years, it's just fucking gone. Everything gone. And they are still there trying to prove that they have power, that they are in control. This is control for them. Power. My legs moving, this is control power. But hey, the entire system has collapsed. And now we see everything unfolding. No one has been failing that fucking hard. No one. And doing this, yawning is proof that they are fucking still in power and in control. Of course. So the excavation at Tel El Amarna Akhenaten provide the most detailed snapshot of the royal court. The great palace was separated from the king's house residence by a royal road connected by a bridge of windows. The windows of appearance were a crucial architectural feature where the king and queen would stand to address the court and distribute the gold of valor to loyal officials. The physical elevation reinforced the theological hierarchy. The layout of the throne room was designed to intimidate and impress. Floors were often painted by the nine bows, representing Egypt's traditional enemies Nubians, Libyans, Asiatics, so that the king literally trampled his foes underfoot with every step. The throne sat on a raised dais necessitating to any who approach look up at the divine presence. Okay, so there are problems in Libya. This is why. It's because it's ancient power that they try to siphon. 427. This is a problem what's going on there. The royal harem, Ipet Nezut and the calf. It's like, of course, they keep plotting so that something would still be happening to me while they're still dying. It's like absolutely nothing is happening right now. In my feed, nothing. Nothing is happening right now. It's like not so much. It's only superficial information. There is no death of the K. There is no suicides anymore. There are no suicides anymore. There are nothing burning. No, not even children dying. It's like it's so fucking weird. For a moment, was lots of children dying, but now it's like nothing. It's not even soldiers in Russia in Ukraine. 25K soldiers, mainly soldiers. Russia versus Ukraine. When when Putin was sending a missile, was shooting a missile to Ukraine, he barely made 10 deaths in one day. Barely. Three of them. And then 25K death per month. Like they want to make me believe and make the world believe that they are reaching 25K a day, a month, sorry. It's a month. My account is between 3,000K since it started in millions and 25, 29K at least per month, if not per day. So I don't know. Those people are failures. Are fucking failures. And they cannot do anything but being failures. And because they are failures, and because others are feeling as well like fucking failures, they're protected by those fucking failures, protecting other failures. And so in the end, it just dragged down the entire system to fucking failing. Which is logical when you think about it, right? If you put failures at the top, then all the rest fails. So, I don't know. Do you fail at understanding this as well? This is the term harem in Egyptology is often misunderstood. The Ipset was merely a secluded residence for royal women, but a powerful economic institution with its own lands, workshops, and administration. While the king practiced polygamy to ensure an heir and cement diplomatic alliances, marrying foreign princesses, the royal women were active participants in court life. Associated with the harem was the Cap Nursery, a prestigious school within the palace. Here, the royal children were educated alongside the sons of the highest officials and foreign princes brought to Egypt as hostages wards. Those who graduated from this system bore the title Child of the Cap, Kered and Cap, created a bond of lifelong loyalty and intimacy between the future king and his future ministers. This institution was the primary engine for creating the loyal ruling class. And this is what I blamed my music school for, is that a school, university, a school or university, they are made to have a strong network of people being able to rely on each other. And my music school just thanked me so that I wouldn't be, in the end, an active participant of their fucking network. And in there, they are saying that the school is actually something that makes people bonding, become close to each other, network. Cap is written with a K, K-A-P. Kered and Cap. Nursery. So there, in this school, they were like all the royals, basically, they were going to this school. No matter where they were coming from, if they were hostages or captive or what is the word? I don't know. They were going to the same schools because they were royals. The royals were kept together no matter what. and they were nurtured as a singular system. They were not fighting each other, they were educated together to remain loyal to each other. However, the harem could also be a locus of political danger. The harem conspiracy against Ramses III involved a secondary wife. Yeah, so then we do shit as well, of course. Yet, foreigners brought into the educative system of the people living there, the royals, foreigners put in the same fucking schools. Tiye, what is this? Tiye, who plotted to assassinate the king to place her son Pentaver on the throne. The plot failed, and the conspirators, including the women and palace officials, were tried and executed, a rare revelation of the internal friction within the royal house. Yeah, because they were educated together so that they would not turn on each other. This is as well another aspect of the thing. Royalty, loyalty. Royal, loyal. Court hierarchy and etiquette. The royal court was stratified by titles that indicated proximity to the king's person. One of the most prestigious title was fan bearer of the right side of the king. Tia Tiaiku Her Vemeninezu. Veneminezu. This official stood literally as the king's right hand, holding the flabellum fan. The title implied the highest level of trust and physical intimacy, and was often held by the viceroy of Kush or the vizier. I was considered the right hand of the head of department in waking life. So he was saying that I was the right hand. So basically, he was he was saying highest level of trust and physical intimacy, and it's like physical intimacy, yeah. OMG. Ah, really? But we were several in the tents, in the teepees, and I was sleeping only barely a couple hours per night. I was lucky if I was making a night of 3 hours. So then I hear that there is preparation around here. So for me, it means red flag for sleeping here. They are failing absolutely everything, but they keep pushing. So you know what? Royal loyal? Who fucking cares? Purest blood, loyalty, or royalty of loyalty? Who fucking gives a shit about that? We do not. The royal court was stratified by titles, yeah, okay. Interaction with the pharaoh were governed by rigid protocol. Upon entering the presence, courtiers were required to sniff the earth. Santa. A full prostration where the nose touched the ground. She knows it. They knows it. They were like nose on the ground. When you see me, you're supposed to nose yourself to the ground. To be allowed to kiss the king's foot or knee rather than the dust was a sign of exceptional favor. OMG. If you kiss my foot or knee, it means that it's exceptional favor. So then you see like all they've been pulling me through, like the visit at night, all the fucking time. It's just that oh my god. Text describe the terror Courtier felt in the divine presence. The story of Sinue describes a returning exile fainting before the king, overcome by the power soul of the monarch. The ritualized humility reinforced the interminable gap between the divine ruler and the mortal subjects. Part 5. The administration of the realm. Vizier T, the hand of the king. If the pharaoh was the head of the state, the vizier T was its hands. The vizier was the supreme civil administrator. So they are supreme, so they try to siphon the energy from the pharaohs. Okay. Was the supreme civil administrator, second only to the king. The vizier was supreme civil administrator, second only to the king. In the New Kingdom, this office was split between vizier of the south, Thebe, and a vizier of the north, Memphis. Thebe. Ah. These duties of the vizier are famously detailed in Installation of the Vizier, text from the tomb of Rekmir. I am a Mir. I am from the 18th dynasty. Okay, so what the fuck? So it's not true that there was no son from Tutankhamun. Kahamun. That was Amon. That's not true. Amon Ra. Oh, it's not true. It's not true. We just made a transition. So I am Emir. I am from the 18th dynasty. So I am from the dynasty from before as well, and the one that transitioned as well from both. He was responsible for the judiciary, presiding over the great Khanbet, the treasury, the mobilization of labor, and the general security of the land. Every morning, the vizier received reports of the opening of the palace gates and the state of the granaries. He was the bottleneck through which all state information passed to the king, the vizier, the scribe, and the bureaucracy. The engine of the pharaonic state was the scribe sesh. Literacy was the defining characteristic of the elite, less than 1.5% of the population. The bureaucracy was originated into vast departments. So, knowledge, once again, was defining royalty. If you knew how to write and read, you were a royal. We were defined by our ability to read and write knowledge. 1 to 5% of the population were able to do this. And now you're corrupting knowledge. The treasury per age managed the collection of taxes in kind, grain, cattle, linen, gold. The granaries managed the storage and redistribution of grain, the staple of the economy and the currency for wages. The royal works oversaw construction projects for cleaning canals to building pyramids. Social mobility was possible through the scribal profession. The satire of the trades, a text copied by schoolboys, contrasts the miserable lives of farmers and soldiers with the comfort and authority of the scribe. Be a scribe, he directs the work of all men. For him there are no taxes, for he pays with writing. Eh, He directs the work of all men, the scribe. I am a scribe right now. Centralization versus regionalism, the nomes. Egypt was divided in 42 administrative districts called Sepat, Greek nomes, 22 in Upper Egypt and 20 in Lower Egypt. Each was governed by a nomarch. What? The relationship between the central court and the monarchs and the nomarchs. No march. March. No march. Walk. Monarch. Oh my god. A walker, a monarch. Uh, all right. The nomarch was the pendulum of Egyptian history. In periods of strong central control, old and new kingdoms, nomarchs were royal appointees. In the intermediate periods, they became the hereditary local princes ruling essentially independent. The pharaonic system relied on the constant supervision of the local officials by the vizier to prevent the fragmentation of the state. Part 6. Justice, law, and the concept of Ma'at. Ma'at, the moral and legal foundation. Egyptian law was not based on a rigid code of statutes, but on the concept of Ma'at, truth, justice, balance, and rightness. A judge's role was to resolve conflict and restore Ma'at. This concept was personified as a goddess, the daughter of Ra, and was the standard by which all the souls were judged in the afterlife. The 42 negative confessions, or declaration of innocence, from the Book of the Dead provides the clearest codification of Egyptian ethics. A deceased soul had to stand before 42 divine judges, assessors, and deny specific sins. I have not stolen, I have not slain men and women, I have not stolen the property of a god, I have not curtailed the foundation, the food rations, I have not caused anyone to weep. This confession reveals a society that values property rights, social welfare, and ritual purity. Justice on earth was intended to mirror this divine tribunal. The judicial structure Kenbet and Jajat. The judicial system operated on local and national levels. Kenbet, a local council of elders and minor officials, scribes, priests that heard daily disputes, small claims, and minor criminal cases in villages like Deir el Medina. The Jajat, a higher council or court often associated with the adjudication of inheritance and abstract legal points. The Great Khanate, located in the capital and presided over the vizier, this court heard serious crimes, murder, tomb robbery, treason, and land disputes involving high officials, legal procedure, and evidence. There was no professional lawyers, plaintiffs, and defendants represented themselves. Evidence included written documents, deeds, wills, witness testimony, and oath sworn by the life of the pharaoh. Perjury was a capital offense in the kingdoms. Oracles were also used as legal evidence. Statue of the god carried by priests would move forward or backward to indicate a yes or no judgment in a dispute. Case studies in pharaonic justice. The will of Naunakte, circa 1145 BCE. The papyrus from Deir el Medina illustrates the legal autonomy of women. Naunakte, a wealthy woman, appeared before the Kenbet to disinherit several of her adult children who had neglected her in her old age. She declared, I will not give my free property to them. The court upheld her will, demonstrating that women had full rights to own and dispose of property, and that the legal system respected individual agency over traditional family obligation. The inscription of Mes, 19th dynasty. The inscription records of a lawsuit over land ownership that lasted generations. It highlights the importance of documentation. The case turned on the production of archived records from the treasury and the falsification of documents by one of the parties. It reveals a litigation society where appeal vizier was possible, but mere corruption could delay justice for decades. Korah. The tomb of robbery papyri. This document describes here they're basically saying that they're going to use the justice system against me, that I'm not going to have any inheritance from the mom, that corruption could delay justice for decades in the case too, and the tomb robbery papyri. These documents describe the investigation into looting a royal tombs. They record the interrogation of suspects, often involving the beating with a stick, torture, to induce confession. The trials resulted in the execution and payment of the thieves. This text reveals the dark side of the justice system, a state under economic stress using brutal violence to protect its most sacred assets. And there we have the you're gonna be tortured to protect the system and the pharaoh, me, because you've been thieves. So we're gonna stick you out of the system. Social stratification, slavery, and economy, the social pyramids and caste system. Egyptian society was strictly hierarchical, but not a rigid caste system in the Indian sense. Movement between classes was possible. I've seen some Indian people yesterday and the day before yesterday. The elite path, the royal family, high priest, vizier, and generals, and nomarchs. No march, no marks. The scribes and professionals, physicians, artisans, draftsmen, Ige Ader El Medina. The peasantry, Remet. The vast majority, 80% plus of the population, agricultural laborers who work the land owned by the king or temples. The servant and slaves, those in various forms of servitudes. The nature of slavery and forced labor. The concept of slavery in Egypt is complex requires careful definition. Chattel slavery, handback. Individuals could be bought and sold. These were often foreign prisoners of war, serang ak, bound for life, brought from campaigns in Nubia or the Levant. However, they had legal personhood. They could marry free women, own property, and testify in court. The corvée labor. This was not slavery but a labor tax owed by the free peasantry to the state. During the inundation, when farming was impossible, peasants were conscripted to build pyramids, temples, or clear canals. While mandatory and harsh, it was temporary. Temple slavery, self-dedication. Documents shows individuals voluntarily dedicating themselves to a temple, becoming Baki, to gain God's protection. The statue often exempted them from the harsher royal corvée and was a form of economic shelter rather than an abject bondage. So there we go. Slavery hasn't been what they think it is right now. And even if they were captured, they had rights. The economy, monopoly versus reality. Ideally, the pharaoh owned all land and controlled all trade. Gold mined in Nubia was a royal monopoly, the flesh of the gods. Foreign trade expeditions to Punt of the Levant were state-sponsored affairs. However, in practice, a vibrant private economy existed. Markets allowed for the battle of surplus grain, cloth, and craft. The great stewards of the temples managed the vast economy. Estates operated semi-independently of the crown, leading to the eventual economic fracturing of the states in the third intermediate period. The struggle for power, church versus state. The dynamic tension between the pharaoh and the priesthood defined royal delegates. Why they stopped when I said that the chattel slavery, the hem and back people captured from other countries in wartime, other cities from in wartime were still having rights. The dynamic tension between the pharaoh and the priesthood defined the new kingdom as kings donated lands to temples to ensure victory and eternal life. The priesthood, particularly cult of Amun Atep, became fabulously wealthy. By the late 18th dynasty, the high priest of Amun controlled a state within a state. The Armana Revolution of Akhenaten was arguably a political move as much as a religious one. By proscribing the worship of Amun and declaring the king the sole intermediary of the Aten Sandisk, the Akhenaten attempted to break the economic and political power of the clergy and restore the absolute authority of the crown. This is important, apparently. The failure of this revolution and the subsequent restoration under the Tutankhamun and Horemheb signaled a victory for the priesthood. By the end of the New Kingdom, the high priest of Amun at Thebe, adopted royal titles, and the country effectively split, with the pharaoh ruling from the delta and the priest ruling from Thebe, a quiet end to the unified pharaonic system. Amarna, Arno, Amarno, Amarna. Aaron. Oh. Farno. Farnoa. Arno Pharaoh is linked. The pharaonic system was the masterwork of political and theological engineering. Sorry. It successfully integrated the diverse geography of the Nile Valley into coherent state in 3 millennia by centering all authority, justice, and cosmic necessity in the person of the king. The pharaoh was the linchpin of the universe and the sole guarantor of Ma'at. Around him, a sophisticated administration of viziers, scribes, and judges managed the tangible resources of the land with remarkable efficiency. Yet, the system was not static, it evolved from the raw, cohesive power of the Namer era to the bureaucratic sophistication of the Middle Kingdom and the imperial grandeur of the Ramessids. It weathered succession crises through co-regencies and divine myth, and it managed its workforce through a blend of religious obligation and state coercion. Ultimately, the pharaonic state's reliance on the divinity of the ruler was both its greatest strength and its ultimate weakness. When the central authority faltered, or when the priesthood grew too powerful, the two lands drifted apart, proving that even the eternal order of Ma'at required a strong hand to maintain. The legacy of the system remains in the monumental architecture, and the administrative record that testify to one of humanity's most organized and disciplined attempts to create order out of chaos. Social administration theology is fat, chaos, evil, the opposite of mad, foreigners, disorder, injustice. T. Vizier, Prime Minister, Head of the Civil Administration and Justice. Canbet, Council. Judicial Court could be local, village, or great state. All right.